Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Abia State House of Assembly impeaches Speaker Martins Azubike over alleged financial recklessness. Elects Kennedy Njoku as replacement. Bad weather prevents presidential planes takeoff. Forces President Buhari to postpone scheduled visits to Bauchi State. Nigerian army dismisses latest video released by Boko Haram's factional leader Abubakar Shekau as mere propaganda insists the Sambisa forest has been recaptured. And US President Barack Obama expels 35 Russian diplomats over alleged interference with the United States presidential election. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, is channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device, so just log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows Phone from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. And now to some of the pictures you sent to our Eyewitness portal. Let's begin with this one. Coming in from Kaduna State, it shows an overloaded lorry carrying stack of baskets on the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway in Kaduna State. Our Eyewitness reporter says despite the load, the vehicle was being driven recklessly. He wants officials of the Road Safety Commission to monitor the highways even more. This next one is from Kwara State. It shows another overloaded vehicle on the Ilorin-Omarun Road. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking road users to be more safety conscious when driving on such narrow and busy roads. And from Badagry area in Lagos State comes this image of an electricity transmission pole that is falling out of place. Eyewitness reporter wants the authorities to urgently avoid the potential danger and power outage. Next from Lagos State is this picture showing rubble after houses in Olokonla community were allegedly demolished. According to our Eyewitness reporter, the act was carried out on the orders of soldiers. He's asking for urgent intervention from the state government. And "2016 has been a mixed bag of highs and lows for the National Assembly, according to analysts. While some commend the National Assembly for its prompt responsiveness to some national issues, others fault the Parliament for its lackluster oversight of government ministries, departments and agencies in the outgoing year. Tonight, in continuation of our review of the various sectors of the nation, our correspondent Linda Hiwe takes a look at the National Assembly in 2016.
The leadership crisis in the National Assembly dominated the first year of the 8th Assembly. However, 2016 was a year federal lawmakers decided to set aside political squabbles and get on with legislative work.
I will be faithful. I'm there to allegiance. I'm there to allegiance.
Lawmakers were, however, embroiled in a showdown with the executive over the 2016 budget. Weeks after President Buhari presented the 2016 budget to the National Assembly, there were reports that the budget was missing, then found, then padded. The 2016 budget impasse reached a crescendo when the former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation accused the House leadership and some lawmakers of corruption, budget padding, and abuse of office.
I will continue to cooperate with the Commission. In fact, we'll give the Commission maximum cooperation to ensure a speedy investigation of this matter and commencement of prosecution.
In spite of these glaring problems, between January and December 2016, the Senate passed 24 bills, The House of Representatives passed 47 bills during the year under review.
Earlier in the year, I think around April, May or so, we had the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable. A very erudite team of scholars were put in place, and they looked at the ease of doing business in Nigeria. That study came up with 54 laws that needed attention, and I think 44 of those laws are at the various stages of consideration.
Following the leadership stability in the House, we have recorded a resounding mileage in the task of lawmaking, oversight, and representation.
For public analysts and journalists covering the National Assembly, 2016 was a mixed bag of some highs and lows for Parliament.
Take, for instance, the recent suspension of the planned or the alleged plan to increase data tariff. But if I look at the other side, you look at the way issues are taken in the National Assembly. For instance, you wonder, sometimes issues are personalized. You understand? For instance, the amendment of CCT Act. No, there was that desperation to amend that act, despite an outcry against it from the public.
What we have seen this year is what I call a cosmetic routine of oversight, citing of the MDAs. What do I mean? In the Senate, for instance, there's a schedule when the committees will go on oversight functions. And what do? When they go to the state, the first thing they do is to go to pay costly visit to the governors and spend the greater part of their time in the states, with the governor.
Going forward, public analysts and Nigerians who monitor the activities of Parliament say they would like to see federal lawmakers take very seriously its oversight of government ministries, departments and agencies. After all, the war on corruption cannot be effectively fought without the National Assembly paying close attention to how public servants spend the country's revenue and ensuring that monies budgeted are put to good use. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
To discuss further in this, human rights activist and convener Situation Room Clement Wanko joins me from our Abuja studios. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10 at this time. It's been quite an eventful year for the House of Assembly in 2016. Give us your assessment of their performance.
Thank you very much. Yes, 2016 has been interesting, a mixed bag, of course. But as you correctly point out, the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives has three key roles, which is lawmaking, oversight, and representation. In terms of lawmaking, I think we're still way off. If we go back since June 2015, when the 8th National Assembly was inaugurated, and look back at what has been achieved, we've seen the Senate pass 64 bills into effect, and the House of Representatives 95 bills, a total of 159 bills passed by both houses. But in reality, when we look at what has been assented to by the President, only very few. The President recently assented to 8 bills. In fact, all of these 8 bills were amendment bills, not substantive bills. We have also seen the budget and budget-related bills passed into effect. But the substance of most of the bills passed is part of a challenge. There are still a lot of bills in the National Assembly, 1,325 bills making their way through the National Assembly process, a lot of them very substantive, very important bills that need to be expedited on. We just watched a clip from the spokesperson for the Senate talking about the ease of doing business in Nigeria bills. These are very key bills. There are bills related to the amendment of the Constitution. These are very key bills. They are still winding their way slowly through the process of passage of bills in the National Assembly. I think that there is an urgency that needs to come in, especially given that once you get into the next 6 months, which is the end of the current year in June 2017, most of what happens thereafter is politics. So I really worry that at the slow pace of passage of bills in the National Assembly, there might be quite a lot lost if the National Assembly does not come back in January determined to move with urgency on some of the very important bills that are pending before it.
They did have some hiccups with confirmation of the acting anti-graft agency boss, and more importantly the budget 2016 going back and forth between the presidency and the National Assembly on the issue of padding. Could they have handled that very issue better, do you think?
Well, I think that the Senate particularly has the powers of confirmation of some of the nominations by the executive, and it is really within their prerogative to decide what to do. If they had reasons for not confirming a particular nomination, I think they've put that in the public domain, and it's up to the public to decide whether they were right in doing what they are doing or what they did. But certainly I think they have also had hiccups in terms of interferences in their leadership by the executive. I think clearly there were attempts to undermine the leadership in both houses by agents in the executive who were not quite comfortable with the nature of leadership that emerged, and this should never really have been the case. But beyond that, I think also that the executive, in every government, in every democracy, the executive has to have its own legislative agenda and drive it through the legislative process. This executive has not been able to develop a legislative agenda, has not pushed any legislation through the National Assembly, and I think that that's quite sad for this country, that you do have an executive that does not present a legislative agenda to the National Assembly for passage. But really, I think that the National Assembly needs to understand that the country is waiting. Its success, or the measure of its success, will be measured by how many bills it passes, how much oversight it does. There are several issues that need oversight by the National Assembly, and I think one of the key achievements was in the Senate intervene on the issue of increase in data tariffs that was being proposed by the Minister of Communication, or indeed the executive, related to telecommunication charges. But there are several other issues that the National Assembly needs to intervene on. There are several things that are going on, particularly with respect to the abuse of human rights by security agencies, including bugging of people's telephone lines that are going on rampantly without any check. These are issues that the National Assembly should be very concerned about and should exercise its powers of oversight, so to be sure that the respect for human rights is in force.
I'll take that as your parting words concerning this very important sector that we're looking at in the nation's economy. Many thanks indeed, Mr. Clement Nwankwo, of course, the convener, Situation Room, talking to us from our Abuja studios. When the news at 10 returns, payout to the 3 tiers of government falls below 50 billion naira as federal allocations decline in 2016. That's some business news. Join us again.